got to take care of our own.
The mayor of New Orleans, Ray Nagin, is on his way to take the measure of the misery in the worst American disaster in 100 years. Most of his city has surrendered to the sea. The streets of the Big Easy are now subject to the tides of the Gulf of Mexico.
Every person is hereby ordered to immediately evacuate.
2 days before the storm, Nagin ordered the biggest evacuation in U.S. history. But he told us he never imagined his city would be abandoned, as he sees it, by the state and federal government. Nagin says communications failed and agencies dithered over jurisdiction while New Orleans drowned.
Too many people died because of lack of action, lack of coordination, and some goofy laws that basically say there's not a clear distinction of when the federal government stops and when the state government starts. And if you have federal, if the federal government takes over, then you're giving up some powers, or if the governor don't ask the president and the president don't ask the governor. And it was just BS.
Bureaucracy.
Bull crap. When people are dying, bureaucracy should be thrown out of the water.
You think people died because the relief was delayed?
There is no doubt about it. I watched a guy jump from the Superdome yesterday. Just couldn't take it anymore. We have 2 police officers that have committed suicide. They couldn't take it anymore. This is hell. And to have this happen in the United States of America, in the state of Louisiana, and to not have immediate response, regardless of the laws, is tragic.
You know what the national response authorities would say? It's a disaster. It's hard to get stuff in there. It's hard to fly the helicopters and the trucks in there.
Man, I don't want to hear any of that. This is a national disaster on U.S. soil. And if we can deploy troops around the world, if we can deploy National Guards in a confined area, this is a small city. It's about 500,000 people. We're not talking about taking over a country. We're talking about 500,000 people, and with all the resources that this state and this country has, it should have gotten done quicker.
We met Nagin at his headquarters, this shattered downtown hotel with no power, no water.
It's crazy, man, I'm telling you.
He's a former cable TV executive with no political experience. He won a surprise victory in 2003. This week, holed up in the darkness, he lashed out on a radio talk show, saying that distant politicians were bragging about their efforts while his city descended into chaos.
And they don't have a clue what's going on down here. They flew down here one time, 2 days after the doggone event was over, with TV cameras, all kind of goddamn, excuse my French, everybody in America. But I am pissed.
On the radio show, you said that the people who failed to bring aid in here in 24 or 48 hours ought to go to hell.
Well, I said they're going to have to account for that. And here's the issue, and here's what the nation needs to get ready for. They're seeing, you know, the starving people and evacuations and the lawlessness, and, you know, that's all entertaining. But let me tell you what's getting ready to happen. We're getting ready to drain this city, and then we're going to go and seek and find missions for dead bodies. And the body count is going to go up, and it's going to go up to a tremendous level. And then everybody's going to start to wonder that more people die because of the storm or because of the lack of response. And that's going to be the big question.
Even now, some people remain trapped.
There's some people up there by that blue.
On our flight, Nagin noticed a man marooned and delivered the aid himself. When you were looking at your city from the helicopter today, Mayor, I had the sense that your heart was broken.
You know, my heart is broken, and, you know, it's a tough thing. When you see a city that you love so much, and you see it so devastated and so almost dead, and you wonder what the future looks like. I'm basically homeless now.
Nagin says the nation still doesn't know how desperate New Orleans was in the hours of anarchy, the 3 days before the National Guard broke through.
Our police chief almost got kidnapped. He was trying to calm the crowd out at the convention center, and they basically got in the middle of a crowd, and the guys tried to basically take him as a hostage. I mean, there's stories that, you know, are unbelievable. Police officers crying, screaming over the radio, "I'm under fire, help, I'm running out of ammunition." My assistant police chief basically said that's the first time in 25 years he ever heard of a police officer in the city of New Orleans saying he's getting ready to run out of ammo in a gunfight. I mean, there's stories, people giving me babies, saying, "Look, take my baby, please, I cannot take care of it." You know, little old lady saying, you know, "Just let me lay down and die." I mean, you want stories? There's stories.
On Friday, President Bush came to see for himself and ran into Hurricane Nagin. The president offered the mayor the first water he was happy to see in 5 days, a shower aboard Air Force One. When the president came, did you unload any of that radio talk show stuff on him?
No, I didn't, but he was well aware of it. And I pulled him on the side with the governor and said, "Look, that was uncharacteristic for me. But consider being in my shoes. What would you have done? And if I said anything disrespectful to the office of the president or the governor, I apologize. But tell me what we're going to do now."
And what did the president say?
The president basically said, "Mr. Mayor, I know we could have done a better job, and we're going to fix it."
President acknowledged to you that it wasn't handled in the best way?
Well, he said they could have done better.
You're pretty frank with the president.
Well, the president asked me to be frank. I mean, he said to me, he said, "Look, I think I've been hearing a lot of stuff that may not be true. I want to hear from you. Tell me the truth, and I will help you."
Try to give me some sense of what you think the possibilities are in terms of the casualties.
Well, let me put it to you this way. We think we evacuated 80% of the people in the city as it relates to this particular event. Do the math. That's 100,000 left. We've evacuated 35,000 people so far. Let's say there's another 15,000. There's 50,000 people unaccounted for. Which number you want to pick? 5%? 10%? 15%? I don't know, but I think it's going to be significant.